It appeared there was a very brief honeymoon period because of the tumultuous events of the weekend. It looks like perhaps the campaign to swap Biden out for someone more formidable had been stalled. But that came back with a vengeance all at once over the past 48 hours. So first I want to play just an interview where you could see here Biden himself start to hedge a little bit. He doesn't give quite as defiant an answer as he's been known to give when this question is raised. This is part of a BET interview.
Anything that you would look to, you personally, not anybody else, not other pundits, not even perhaps family members, that you would look to say, if I see that, I will reevaluate?
If there had some medical condition that emerged, if the doctors came to me and said, you got this problem, that problem. But I made a serious mistake in the whole debate. And look, when I originally ran, you may remember it, I said I was going to be a transitional candidate. And I thought that I'd be able to move from this, just pass it on to someone else. But I didn't anticipate things getting so divided. And quite frankly, I think the only thing age brings is a little bit of wisdom.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I've demonstrated that I know how to get things done for the country, in spite of the fact they're told we couldn't get it done. But there's more to do, and I'm reluctant to walk away from that.
Okay, well, as you can see, that's not the exact same thing as I'm running, end of discussion. He says if the doctors see something wrong, he does have COVID now, which we're going to get to in the next segment, so I'm not going to talk too much about that right now. But it's funny how within hours of saying, hey, if the doctors find something wrong with me, I might drop out, that day you test positive.
Well, the blood tests show he's got the arsenic variant of COVID,
yeah,
right?
right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Obama variant. Exactly. So that tells you that the ball has moved down the field of getting him out of the race. This is a significant development as well. Representative Adam Schiff calls on Biden to drop out, citing serious concerns that he can't win. Adam Schiff, we can call him Adam Shit now because it's not the first 15 seconds of the video. So there we go. Has called on President Biden to drop out of the White House race, becoming the most prominent Democrat in Congress to do so. The announcement on Wednesday from Schiff, the heavy favorite in his U.S. Senate bid and a frequent guest on cable news, brought a jolt to an effort that had grown quiet after the weekend assassination attempt of former President Trump. The Burbank congressman cited serious concerns about Biden's ability to beat Trump in November. He is the latest Democrat to call for the president of his own party to exit the race amid growing questions about Biden's age and mental fitness to do the job, worries that began in earnest after last month's disastrous debate performance in which the incumbent at times appeared confused. On top of that, almost two-thirds of Democrats want Biden to step aside, poll finds. This is from Axios. A whopping 65% of Democrats believe President Biden should withdraw from the 2024 presidential race and let the party pick a different nominee, according to an AP NORC poll out Wednesday. That's yesterday. Why it matters. The findings add more evidence to the damage done by Biden's disastrous debate performance last month, which highlighted longstanding concerns about his age and fitness for office. The result, based on a survey of 1,253 adults, fly in the face of Biden's own claim that the average voter wants him to stay in the race. Overall, 70% of U.S. voters want Biden to withdraw from the 2024 race, while only 57% want to see former President Trump withdraw. Now, what's really interesting about that?
I mean, that's significant. No.
Well, yeah, but what's actually even more significant about that, when you think about that, if 65% of Democrats want him to withdraw, but only 70% of U.S. voters want him to withdraw, what that means is, you crunch those numbers, that means a lot of Republicans are saying no, they want him to stay in because they think they could beat him. The people who are answering no, he shouldn't withdraw are not exactly doing that as a vote of confidence. There are clearly voters who are saying no, he shouldn't withdraw, hoping that he's persuaded to stay in the race.
Yes.
If you crunch those numbers, what that means is that actually the percentage of voters who think he's unfit is probably in the 80s or 90s, right? However,
but also let's not forget Trump has had a great week, but most people do not like him. It's easy to forget that at a moment like this.
Right.
He's not popular. He's extremely popular with the people he's popular with. That does not represent a majority of the country.
Exactly. However, Trump enjoys high support from within his own party. Only 26% of Republicans think he should exit the race and let the GOP pick a different candidate, while 73% of Republicans want him to keep running. Now, that is actually not a very impressive number, to Russell's point. If 1 in 4 Republicans want him out of the race, that says what Russell says. He's not a particularly popular figure. But contrast that with Biden's numbers. I mean, Biden, it's the opposite. Biden, 2/3 of your own party wants you out. Trump, 3/4 of your own party wants you in. Only 35% of Democrats want Biden to stay in the 2024 race.
Here comes Ron.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now they got J.D. Vance. Now they got their guy.
Now they got Vance, yep. That's it. That's the end for Ron.
That's the end of the road.
Governorship's the end of the line. He's going to have to take a board seat at a defense contractor like everybody else.
Exactly. J.D. Vance came in, ate his lunch.
That's
Biden has defied calls from lawmakers for him to step aside and insisted he will not drop out. The Biden campaign has been contending with a number of damning polls since the debate. One found 67% of voters wanted Biden to drop out, and another found a declining share of voters view Biden as mentally sharp. While this week's attempted assassination of Trump temporarily quieted the rebellion in the Democratic Party, congressional Democrats revived the effort this week, Axios' Andrew Solender and Alex Thompson reported. So let's take a look at what they're referencing here. Biden rebellion resurfaces on Capitol Hill. Democratic members of Congress are reviving a fight over President Biden's candidacy following a brief respite in the wake of Saturday's assassination attempt against Trump, Axios has learned. Some lawmakers are uneasy about the DNC's plans to forge ahead with a virtual roll call vote to nominate Biden weeks before the Democratic convention. People are back to being angry at Biden, and a push to sign on to this letter is going around. The Replace Biden movement is back, a House Democrat told Axios. A letter circulating amongst congressional Democrats argues that there is no legal justification for an early virtual roll call, meaning a virtual nomination roll call vote, after Ohio moved its filing deadline past the date of the Democratic convention. We respectfully but emphatically request that you cancel any plans for an accelerated virtual roll call and further refrain from any extraordinary procedures that could be perceived as curtailing legitimate debate. It says the DNC moved towards a virtual vote before the debate in response to Ohio threatening to not put Biden on the ballot because the party's convention was after their deadline. Ohio changed the rule, but the DNC has pushed forward, arguing that the legislature could, in theory, reverse itself, which is such an unbelievable bullshit excuse. They're not going to, they changed it so that they could accommodate the convention. The suggestion that the timeline for the virtual roll call has been accelerated is false. DNC Chair Jamie Harrison said in a statement to Axios, the timeline for the virtual roll call process remains on schedule and unchanged from when the DNC made that decision in May. Representative Susan Wild, Mike Quigley, and Pat Ryan told Axios they plan to sign on to the letter. Quigley and Ryan have both publicly called on Biden to withdraw. Representative Mike Levin, who told Biden he should drop out during a call with Hispanic caucus members on Friday, will sign the letter as well, his spokesperson told Axios. One House Dem told Axios they have received the letter and are considering signing on, and another senior aide to another House Democrat said their boss will sign on. Jared Huffman, Democrat from California, who told Biden on a progressive caucus call last Saturday that he worries the president is being shielded from bad news, has been circulating the letter to colleagues, according to one lawmaker. The DNC's virtual roll call is likely to start on July 9th and conclude by August 5th. So they got about 2 weeks here. 2 weeks before the Democratic convention begins on August 19th. Axios' Hans Nichols and Alex Thompson reported. That means Biden would only need to withstand internal opposition and criticism towards his candidacy for another 2 weeks. And of course,
Okay, so let me just mention, I was reading it this morning. Based on reporting in the Wall Street Journal, they did actually move it forward in contradiction to what they told Axios here. It was originally supposed to start next week, I think the 21st or 22nd. And partly in response to this letter they're talking about, they pushed it forward and they withdrew the letter. That was according to the Journal's reporting.
Okay, so they did actually push it back according to the Wall Street Journal.
Yes, based on their reporting, what Harrison's saying there is a lie. He's making it out. It was always the same. No, not according to what I read. And that comports with what I know, because they've been saying for a long time. I think it was the 21st or the 22nd. Now all of a sudden it's the 29th. They pushed it back to quiet down the rebels, to give them to allow them to feel they have more time to make their case.
Right. And now they do have some more time to make their case. And as I predicted, now you're starting to see the heavy hitters make their opinions known. So, breaking from BNO News, Democratic leaders Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries privately encouraged Biden to drop out of the race, according to ABC. So this was broken last night as part of ABC's convention coverage. Here's Jonathan Karl relaying this word.
The pressure from Democratic leaders for Biden to get out of the race is intensifying. In fact, one person who has been out there publicly defending Biden told me just a short while ago, Biden is going to see the whole house of cards come down soon. As for that meeting in Rehoboth, Delaware, I am told that this was a one-on-one meeting, just the Senate leader and the president, and that Chuck Schumer forcefully made the case that it would be better for Biden, better for the Democratic Party, and better for the country if he were to bow out of the race. And David, when I went to Schumer's office to ask them to tell them I was going to report this and tell you this tonight, absolutely no denial from Senator Schumer's office. They only said this: Leader Schumer conveyed the views of his caucus. In other words, the views of Democratic senators. I am also told that Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, has expressed similar views directly to the president.
We know Nancy Pelosi has been quietly trying to build an off-ramp for him since the end of June. And so here are two more top-ranking Democrats coming out and saying he's got to go. CNN reports that Joe Biden is now asking if Kamala is able to win, becoming more, quote, receptive to the idea of dropping out of the race. Here's this.
Well, Jake, we know as President Biden is flying back to the East Coast tonight after testing positive for COVID, as you said, and cutting his trip to Las Vegas short, we know that he is facing potentially a new moment in his campaign. He's been hearing for the last several days from Democratic lawmakers, officials, and others about their concerns about his path forward here. And talking to a senior Democratic advisor tonight who is telling me this, he said he believes the president is being, quote, more receptive to these calls of concern. He goes on to say this: the private conversations with the Hill are continuing, this advisor tells me. He's being receptive, not as defiant as he is publicly. Goes on to saying, talking about Vice President Kamala Harris, who initially he wondered how she may fare in a campaign should it come to that. I'm told now he's asking questions, saying, do you think Kamala can win? Again, this advisor offers caution, saying this: it is still unclear where he's going to land, but he seems to be listening. So, Jake, what we do...
Yeah, okay. That tells you not good, believe me, not good. Now the dam has broken. And it's going to be, I think, a very short period of time between we're in, this is a closed matter, enough is enough, everybody shut up, to we're out. Because you can't really go anywhere with this 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of posture, which he seems to be taking on now. And now with the COVID diagnosis, now you're going to have a doctor come see him, right? Because he's sick. So now the doctor's going to say, here's what you need me to say, right? And that's it. It's over. Once it gets to that point, once the top brass come at you, Schumer, Jeffries, Pelosi, You can't withstand that. There's just no way to, because the money will not be there. You can't run the campaign that way. And it's going to be clear even to a lifelong defiant egomaniac like Joe Biden that he has no chance. And when you have leadership that against you, you're not going to have any fundraising. You're not going to have any operation. There's just no way you can win. Even a guy as far gone as Joe Biden is capable of understanding that, I think. And it has been my prediction all along that when voices like that make their opinions heard, he will simply have no choice but to bend the knee. And that is what I think is going to happen fairly soon. Maybe even today. I said if there's a time to do it, it's the day Trump makes his speech. You grab that news cycle from Donald Trump. So I would not be shocked if he backs out tonight.
Okay, so I think you're probably right. I mean, who knows about today? You could be right.
Today, I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
But about withdrawing. This is all I'll say. It would be delicious karma if the Democratic Party, which insisted on foisting this asshole on America, could not get him out.
Yeah, had him foisted on themselves, right? Exactly, yes.
Yes. They picked one of the most notorious assholes in Washington to beat Bernie.
Right.
And this is why he's not out already, because he's a fucking asshole.
Right.
He's an asshole. He's always been an asshole. This is why, in spite of the fact that clearly there's something wrong with you, he would even the fact that he didn't stick to his tacit pledge to be a one-term president and to pass the torch. It's because of who he is. Oh, we got more work to do. No, man, it's your ego. You've been grabbing at this brass ring since you were plagiarizing speeches from British politicians in 1988. Now you got it. You don't want to let go of it. Fuck the country. You don't care. You're the president, and you want to keep it that way. You don't care if you have Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and what the implications of that are for the nation. You got yours. You want to keep it. Now, you're probably right, but if there's anyone who would be enough of a prick to say, we just got to last another 2 weeks. Another 2 weeks, it would be Joe Biden.
You're right. It's possible, but I think it's a very, very slim chance.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. And, look, no one was beating this drum louder than I was, up until last weekend. And after last weekend, I kind of dropped it, not because I thought they were going to keep him, but I was like, at this point, what does it matter? And that's what a lot of people were thinking in the immediate aftermath. They're thinking, what does it matter, really? I mean, we put that on the show. We did that on the show on Tuesday afternoon. Top Democrats, we've resigned ourselves to a second Trump presidency. It's over. I think they are really worried about this being a historic wipeout down ballot if he's at the top of the ticket. And they're probably worrying about burning too many bridges with the top donors. Like the top donors, the big money people have said, we're not donating if he's at the top of the ticket here. And that puts them in a situation where they could potentially have a long-term problem because they're going to burn a lot of bridges that they won't be able to rebuild afterwards. So that could be it. And there is the question, too, of whether he is actually capable of doing it. I mean, every time he appears now, the question is, does he melt down? The focus is not even on what he's saying. Like I said, when we covered his NATO speech, it was very difficult without watching the whole video of his speech, which I really wasn't interested in doing. I would have loved to have read an article summarizing what he said. That's a much more productive use of time, quite frankly. But I couldn't really, because almost every article focused not on the substance of what he was saying, but on whether or not he malfunctioned. You just can't run that way. You can't run that way. And now Adam Schiff, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeff, this is not some congressman from some district no one's ever heard of. These are the heavy hitters right now. The only person whose mouth has yet to fly open about this is Barack Obama himself. And there have been reports that he is very skeptical of Biden's chances. He has not come out and made a statement to that effect yet. But if it gets to it, I think he will be next.
There are rumors he put Clooney up to that op-ed.
Yes.
That was a coordinated hit.
Yeah.
Les Moonves at CBS famously said at I think it was at an investors conference, that Donald Trump might be bad for the country, but he was good for CBS. In like spirit, I have to say a Kamala Trump race will be bad for the country, but it will be very good for DueDissidence.
yes, exactly. Yes.
So on
we'll
that
say that
level,
openly. Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, we're not saying it behind the scenes. We're saying it openly. That will be very good for business. And not only that, given that Trump is very likely to win, and one of the policies he's running on is to make tips tax-free, and I'm pretty sure you could make the case that super chats are tips. We're getting tired of winning over here.
Okay.
All right, we are getting tired of winning.
That is a sweet theory, but as a matter of fact, super chats are not counted as tips. So when Google gives us our tax form at the end of the year, it's all one lump sum.
It's one lump sum now. But we're all going to get together. If he gets elected,
we're going to get a lobbyist.
That's
right. We're going to hire a lobbyist.
We're going to get a lobbyist, man. We're going to reach out to the quartering. We're going to reach out to Tim Pool. We're going to organize, man.
That's right. We're going to get what's ours, damn it. Oh boy.
Please clap.